Yes, Chairman. County Council is adding an item to closed session due to subsequent need relating to the archaeological sites on the Black Hawk project. She will provide us with additional information as well as an additional item.
Yes, Chairman and members of the board.
I move that we take up this item that find that the need to take action on it rose after the posting of the agenda.
Yep.
I'd like to hear what County Council has to say about it.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. So you can take action on any item not appearing on the agenda with the finding that there's a need to take immediate action, as you know. And it came to the attention of the county staff after the agenda was posted. There's actually two items, the one the clerk of the board mentioned and an anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection E1, significant exposure to litigation. There's one case, and the other is real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The negotiating party is your CAO and the assessor parcels numbers. There's 6 of them. I'm going to read them into the record since they're not on the agenda. 050-062-023, 050-062-024, 050-062-028, 050-062-029, 050-121-025, 050-142-005, 050-143-005, and the last one is 050-143-006. You need a 2/3 vote to add these to the agenda.
I made a motion. Okay. Oh, he did? Oh, I didn't hear it. Oh, okay.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Oh, wait,
Yes, we have to go to public comment before we have a special election. Okay. Not here today. Public comment, please.
Dale Drozen, Madera County. Who's the negotiating party on the other side?
Chairman, all that's needed for the agenda description is the county's negotiating party. And the county's negotiating party is Eric Fleming, the county administrative officer. In this particular matter, you have a, if you'd like me to answer further or just leave it at that.
You done? Ralph M. Brown Act, Section 54956.8, Paragraph 2, on real property negotiations. However, prior to the closed session, the legislative body of the local agency shall hold an open public session in which they identify the negotiator, the real property or real properties which negotiation may concern, and the person or persons with whom it's negotiating or may negotiate.
I would assume it's the owner of the property.
No, it's the negotiator. It's who's going to be in the room with you on the other side, and it's required at every one of them. I don't understand.
Well, sometimes we don't have the other side in the room.
Okay, but you're negotiating with somebody.
Yeah.
So we can state the property owner.
Yep, the property owner's name is Margaret Jamison, but what we've read is proper, just so the board understands that. I'll read the...
Have you read the Brown Act?
I have read it. I'm going to look at it right now. Yes.
54956.8, and it's paragraph 2.
Yes. We answered the question as well.
That's the property owner, not the negotiator.
Property owner and the negotiator could be one of the same.
Could be. Are they in this case?
I don't know. I can't answer the question.
Are they?
Yeah. So, Chairman, members of the board, 54956.8 For purposes of this section, negotiators may be members of the legislative body of the local agency, and the negotiator is your county administrative officer. It says, the legislative body of the local agency shall hold an open and public session in which it identifies its negotiators, which we have, the real property or real properties which the negotiations may concern, and that's the APN numbers, and the person or persons with whom its negotiators may negotiate. And so we've stated the APN numbers, the real property owners, and identified the county's negotiators.
But you have not named who its negotiator, who the property owner's negotiator may be.
And it just says who we may negotiate with, and we're negotiating with the real property owner.
And we have no problem disclosing who the agents are on both sides. I am the county's negotiator. We plan these sorts of negotiations in closed session. We're not always, or we're never, seldom going to have the other negotiating party in the room because we're developing strategies. So we'd be more than happy to tell you exactly who the agents are. You know who the owner is. So John, if you want to, John Reed is our agent, and Alan Murray is the agent for the owner.
Okay.
And Alan Murray will not be in the
He will not be.
closed session. So I think that's the question you were trying to get to.
If the other negotiator were in closed session, we would reveal that, but he's not going to be there, so that's the fact. You don't see that as the intent of the statement?
No, I don't see that as the intent of it. It's who you're going to be negotiating with, whether they're in the back room or in the closed session or not. If you decide your strategy, who you're going to go out and talk to. If you don't know it, you can't give it. If you do know it, you're required by the Brown Act to give it.
And I'm certain that if we ever did have the other negotiating party in closed session, which I can't remember a single time we've done that, we would put that on the agenda.
We never have.
Never have done that.
Since I've been on here for
Okay, so we got
10 plus
we
years.
have a first and we have a second. First by Colin, second by Max. Can we have the vote, please? Any other public comment before I? Okay, thank you.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Reading the close. We read the whole closed session. No.
Labor negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The county negotiators are Adrian Caleb, and the employee organization is all units. Existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. There are 4 cases: Anita Ross versus the County of Madera, Natina Brown versus the County of Madera, Schottler versus the County of Madera, and Stevenson versus the County of Madera. There are 2 performance evaluations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The title of the positions are Animal Services Director and County Administrative Officer. And there is a real property negotiation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The negotiating party is the County Administrative Officer. The assessor parcel numbers are 047131-001 through the ending of 036, 047132-001 through 019, and 047-133 001 through 016. Did you want to mention who the negotiating party is on the other side? The owner is Mr. Mark Hanna, and I do not believe he has a real property agent.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to closed session. Oh, the blessing, yeah. Not today. I had nothing to mess with my feet. Okay, back from the closed session. Regina, do we have anything to read in the closed session? Excuse me.
There's no reportable action.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is a regular board meeting of September 20th. Welcome, everybody. I think we have some great presentations today. And would Pastor Tim McGraw please come up? Say the location, please.
Lord, we invite your blessing into this day, your blessing upon our city, our residents, our leaders. We invite you. We want to thank you for life and health, all the good gifts that you bring. And now we would ask, Lord, for our leaders, our decision makers, and for folks that are here today, give wisdom for any decisions that need to be made, and let those decisions and the outcomes bring good and hope and prosperity and blessing to our city. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to say about the members that have passed?
Bless them all.
Bless them all. What I have to talk about is Mrs. Bishop. That was still Van Frady's mother-in-law, Patty's mom. Bishop family's been around Madeira a long time. Great family, and she will be missed.
I've got one as well. Oakland Bloodworth.
Oakland.
Anybody who has been to a kid's birthday or around the valley for years, he brought so much joy to so many people with his music and song. Just a wonderful person. I don't think I've ever seen him without a smile on his face. A great family, and just wanted to recognize him today.
Oakland was a good one.
Say her too. My heart goes out to the Trost family who lost their 22-year-old son in Alaska. And the funeral, I believe, is going to be Saturday. So we just, he was a native, he lived in Chowchilla. He played football there at Chowchilla High. And, our heart goes out to that family.
Thank you. Mr. Fowler, would you say the pledge of allegiance for us, please? Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, consent calendar?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there needs to be a correction to the consent calendar on item B, number 2. It should read, consideration of approval of appointment of Bernard Puget to the Aliso Water District Board of Directors to fill the remaining term of Joe McIlvain instead of Carson Smith, ending December 2nd, 2019.
What item was it?
Is it?
It's
B?
item B as in boy, consent calendar number 2.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, which one?
Item J, the Fossil Center.
Okay.
Who's doing that? Maria. Good morning. Are we paying for everything out there, PG&E and all that?
Marie Miranda General Services, no supervisor. They pay for all of their own utilities and all maintenance. We would only be covering the fire suppression system inspections.
Do we have that covered on the other place, like our buildings at Dewani Park and stuff like that?
No, well, it's specific to the fire suppression system, so if they have sprinklers and that kind of thing. So we own the Fossil Discovery Center. We felt it was a fairly minimal cost to ensure that it's inspected as it should be, quarterly, annually, so forth. The Paleontology Foundation, they are required to do all routine maintenance, but we felt that this was just an added security for us to ensure that it's done. Per the lease agreement, if there is a fire or anything like that, the county would have to cover any repairs. So not only are there students coming through there that we want to make sure are in a safe environment, but also protect the county from any type of damage that would cause from a fire from not having these inspections done regularly.
Same as our buildings at Awani Park then. Right? I mean, they're the same buildings. We own them.
I don't know that we have
Well-
fire suppression.
Those people, they don't know.
At Oak Acorn, is that what you're talking
What's
about?
that?
The Oak Acorn Center, is that what you're, Oak Acorn Center?
Yeah,
Is
that
what
one
you're-
and the interpretive center. They built, 4, 5, 6 years ago, whenever they built that. They're
is
brand
there
new.
The fire suppression system? Is there a sprinkler system in there?
If Bill Hader's here,
I'm not-
he would
Should
know.
be.
Okay. It's a lot smaller facility, and I don't know that it's sprinklered. It may be.
I
maybe
thought they had to
our
put the
official-
sprinkler in.
And it's
Yeah,
not,
we can
it's not occupied at this point, so, I mean, moving forward, it's something we can certainly consider
got
to add to our
stuff in
rotation
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not occupied at this point, so we haven't added it to our rotation.
Well,
We can-
check on it. and
yeah, we
find
can
out.
certainly
I wanna
do so.
Make sure that we cover all of our buildings like that. We don't pick and choose. Okay, and then item M, on that 41 and 12 inspection, where 47,000 I think it was, is Jones and McCaffrey paying for that?
48,421.
48,000?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter with Public Works. Yes, the Riverstone developer is paying for all the fees for that
Don't say that
project.
in the backup, though.
Yeah, I had that question too. Right.
I want to make sure it does, because right now it says we pay it.
Okay. If you, on my letter under the funding sources, it talks about the cost for the services paid for by Riverstone Development.
Okay.
So yes, they are paying for it.
Okay. And thank you, Ahmad, you got me the Cascadel information, so I don't have to ask about that one. Item Q, so Q and R. Thank you, Chair.
Very good. Brett?
Item P.
T and Tom?
No, P is in Paul.
Oh, Paul.
This came up. There was some unforeseen things with gas that had come in. It was delivered perfectly. I just wanted to bring up, we had talked at one point about the bond being refinanced and possibly being able to cover some of the costs of that. Where are we at on that? Is that, can that bond be refinanced?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Qiyad, Public Works. This item is being considered. We will be meeting with the treasurer, Ms. Tracy Kennedy, and see what are the possibilities of refinancing that bond. There are some conditions that the committee need to meet to give us the ability to refinance.
Tracy, is there anything that you can add to that?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Tracy Kennedy, Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. Regarding the refinancing, refunding of the Rolling Hills Assessment District, we have looked into it. The interest rates are fairly high. However, in order to do the refunding, we would have to meet certain tests. It would have to save money, debt service, of course. It would have to be, at least the maturity date or less for the new refunding. And also, we would have to go ahead and respread all the assessment engineering, which means we would have to hire another assessment engineer. I was explaining this to Mr. Drozen a minute ago. So that would increase the cost of issuance. Well, we would have to, of course, completely refund the issue that's outstanding right now and sell on the open market another public financing. So that means you have to have a bond counsel, you have to have a financial advisor, we would have to go to an underwriter, there'd be an underwriter fee, we'd have to respread the engineering costs. So those are the tests that would have to be met. Now, I know that the interest rate is pretty high. And, of course, some people have paid off their assessment through the years because they have bought and sold out there or whatever. They didn't want it over their head. But right now, our financial advisor doesn't feel that it would meet all three of the tests. And because the cost of issuance would be high because of the assessment engineering. I am having him in between his 30 calls a week with us for other projects, trying to put something, an outline, if you will, so that way we can share it with the district, share it with the taxpayers out there. Because I know they do have some other improvements that are going to be coming up in the next year. But as it stands right now, we don't feel that it will meet all the tests. to refund it.
And there is going to be an engineer's assessment done with the 218 election. So if that was the fatal flaw, that could be taken care of through the 218 election. Is that correct?
Supervisor, once we do this engineer assessment, I will be discussing it with Tracy whether this justifies as one of the conditions to be taken off the list. But that engineering assessment or rate study per se would definitely show that the district would have the capital, which is also one of the conditions that they need to be able to generate and sustain themselves. So that we'll be working closely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
Item J. Does Madera County Fire Department have the capability of doing these inspections? They're under contract with us, with CAL FIRE.
Your name?
Dale Grozen, Madera.
Go ahead.
Could we have Madera County Fire Department, through our contract with CAL FIRE, do these inspections?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe we do have a representative from CAL FIRE. I thought I saw him. Here he is. That'd be a discussion that we would really need to take up later. We need to understand what their resources are. As you know, their resources are very spread thin. We're doing a whole public safety tax measure. I don't know that they would have the resources to go out and do inspections day to day. They can barely staff the engines and get the calls out that they need to. So I seriously doubt that. But
I don't think this is a day-to-day inspection. It's like an annual inspection that you do, and most fire departments do annual inspections on sprinkler systems.
And we probably have 50 buildings, so it's time-consuming, and I seriously doubt we have the resources to do that in-house.
It comes under the county's jurisdiction.
Are we doing them in Madera City now with the fire department? Thank you.
It comes under the county's jurisdiction anyway. Matt?
Matt Watson, Fire Department. It's something I guess we could take a look at, but it may be under the umbrella more of the fire marshal than the fire department. Yes. And if it's, to deal with the pressurized systems and the actual sprinklers and themselves, then we would not have the capability as of now, nor the personnel to be able to go out and facilitate that.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Okay, anything else from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move that we approve the consent calendar with item B correction.
Second.
Have a first from Tom, second from Brett. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay. Public comment?
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any handouts to the board must be submitted to the chief clerk of the board for distribution to the supervisors. Anyone addressing the board needs to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. Also, all persons addressing the board must state their name and county of residence for the record.
Anything from the board? Anything from the public?
Good morning. Joseph Shadwan, Madera. Over the weekend, Saturday, actually, New York City came under attack again from one of our own citizens, 28-year-old Ahmad Rahmani, again, U.S. citizen of Afghani descent, along with others, injured 29 people. The Islamic State is claiming responsibility. Yesterday, around in the early afternoon for us, Mr. Romani was captured alive. So we'll see what happens. When possible, I'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Anybody else from the public? Okay, Ray. No.
Mr. Chairman?
Just a minute. You got one more?
Dale Drosen, Madera. Item 8 and item 9 on the agenda. There's very seldom anybody here when those are discussed. Some of the things you're discussing on pending litigation and on staff reports, if they were closer to the beginning of the meeting, a lot more people would hear it and understand what you're doing.
And pending legislation?
Pending legislation and staff reports.
Yeah, you said litigation, pending litigation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Legislation and staff reports. If it was done like now, a lot of people would hear what you're opposing, what you're for. You get more input, and the staff reports, they'd find out what was going on in their areas. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. Okay, regular session, 6A.
6A, Board of Supervisors Department, recognition of Veterans of Foreign Wars post-1981 for achieving All-American status for 2015 to 2016. And Chairman, we have several here to give presentations as well.
Yes. This came up to me, of course, Norm sent it to me, and I am so proud of you guys. I mean, the way you've worked hard in the community and everything you guys have done, this post has just basically gone far beyond in community activism and everything else, and I just real proud of you guys, so we wanted to recognize you today. Norm, are you going to please have a couple come up and actually state how you got this award. It's just amazing. Thank you.
We should have the guys come up with a picture now, so it'll take them 10 minutes to do it.
Oh, Norm. I like your hat. Very nice.
Sweet. Norman Allender on my 15-minute mandatory break this morning. Past commander of the VFW. I'm here with my good friend Jimmy Villanueva, who was our quartermaster. Also, he and I have been friends since junior high school, so this is an even more interesting story of how we went off and served and came back to Madera. But and as many of you who have met him knows that quit asking him about secrets because he knows them all. So I just wanted to say a couple things. The All-American Award was given out to about 280 posts out of about 7,000 in the country. And overseas and international VFW is. And a lot of people think what we do is tell war stories and drink beer, which is something we do. But we have a mandate to serve the community. And as many of you have seen with our basket program we did with the help of Sam Pistoressi, of course, the turkeys and the hams we gave out to disadvantaged families. And the big one I want to put, my good friend Jimmy has done here, is he's taken charge of the bicycle program that we're working with Bill Jones in the schools. And so we gave out dozens of bikes last year. We're in the hundreds of bikes this year we're going to give out. We've already got a seed donation of $5,000. We'd like to encourage all the other folks, Monty, I know who's listening from home, but these are the things that we do for the community, and I can tell you there's nothing that makes your day better than bringing some kid, an elementary school, a bicycle. It just makes their day. No one ever gave me a bike when I was a kid like that, so I just got to tell you, these kids love it. So these are the kind of programs these gentlemen do. You've seen them at every veterans event. Last Saturday, we were the rifle squad for the regional POW MIA event. We're called upon regularly to go to Fresno to serve at the VA hospital because they know we'll get the job done. So these guys here, you guys want to come up, they're going to take a picture, but these guys are the ones who set the stage and do all the work. We got to recognize our support that we get there, and certainly my wife, who she had to support because I spent so much time at the post in the last year. And so many of you on here have helped us in the past, so many of you in the community, and we still want to, that's why I'm putting the plug in, we're still there taking donations for bicycle programs and those things for this year, because what we do goes straight to the community. There's no overhead we take from it. We don't do any kind of charges there. So wanted to say thank you for the recognition, and thanks to the community who really helped support this, because it's community donations that come in that we are able to give back out. So these are just a few of the programs we do. As you know, the Voice of Democracy and the Patriots Pen, which is an essay and oratory competition for middle and high school students. And it'll remind you that the future of America isn't as dark as some people would say on talk radio. When you see these young kids and the patriotism in them, you you're less cynical, that's for sure. I also want to put a challenge out, because this is the Madera post. There's a post in Oakhurst and Chowchilla, and I want to challenge those posts as well in your districts to step up, and we'd be happy to partner with them on any kind of help for the community. So I just want to say thank you.
Real quick, how many posts were involved in this award?
There's about 7,000 internationally, and there's about 280 were awarded, 275, 280 were awarded.
Wow. Outstanding. Yes. And before they come up, we have other presentations for you, too.
Thank you.
David?
Yeah, I just want to say that this post, you guys just simply amaze me. And the things that you do for the community, the way that you display yourselves, and the things you continually do. And my thoughts were that you just can't outgive post-1981. These guys just keep giving and giving. Not only did they serve their country and provide for our freedom, but they continue to serve their country and provide for their country. It's just something that's part of you. And congratulations. You deserve this. You are real Americans. Thank you.
Okay, could I have the legislators come up and do their presentation? I've asked some of our state legislators, our community, to come up, and they all volunteered to come up and give you a certificate of appreciation, and very nice. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Mr. John.
Good morning. My name is Micah. I work for Assemblyman Frank Bigelow, and I'm here on behalf of my boss, but also myself, because we just appreciate all the work you do for our community, like Norm mentioned. And we have a certificate of recognition that states congratulations for being a part of the All-American team, and looking forward to hopefully more years where you can be a part of that team as well.
Thank you, Micah.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Major, and I'm here on behalf of State Senator Tom Berryhill. What an incredible blessing you are to this community. Any chance that I have to come and visit and partake in the activities that you all do and support you in your endeavors it's a blessing for me as well. So congratulations on an amazing job well done for this community and the service that you provide to our students and our families. You're amazing at what you do. On behalf of Senator Berryhill, we have a certificate for you as well with like language that Micah read. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sean.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Garcia. I work for Congressman Jim Costa, and we are very on his behalf. He's unfortunately in Washington, D.C. right now working hard for you, but I wanted to make sure that you had this certificate of recognition from the congressional recognition in celebrating your achievement in All-American status for 2015-2016. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Good morning.
John.
Good morning, Board. I'm John Anderson. I'm here representing Senator Anthony Canella. And I'm also here as a member of post-1981. So, anyhow, when I got an email about a week or so ago from Letty, I thought, the board has done it again. They screwed up. We just gave them this award about 3 months ago. You remember?
Yeah.
But it wasn't this award.
It was
that
another
was the state award.
Yeah.
And this is the national award. So I want to publicly apologize to Letty. It's about time, John. And again, these ladies have said it all, how the great things she's doing. I particularly want to compliment the Honor Guard. As a former soldier, I know what looks good and I know what doesn't look good. And when these guys are invited throughout the valley to perform, they look good. And so my congratulations. And on behalf of the Senator Canella and the California State Senate, you're recognized.
Thank you. Again, thank you guys again. I'm happy I'm part of post-1981 and real proud. I mean, 7,000 different posts. I mean, what an accomplishment. Just outstanding. I'll give you a hand again, and then come on up and get a picture.
And while everybody's coming down, we also need to recognize a lot of our volunteer members. So I would like everybody to stop and take a look at Letty Gonzalez, who does so much for us at the post. So everybody to thank her while she's down. Thanks.
Okay, Bill. Tom, Max, Bill would like to say a few words.
Is the mic on? Tom, make sure that mic is on.
There you go.
Only got one arm.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Bill Jones, VFW 1981. I'd like to point out to the board and the citizens of Madera, we are the second oldest Veterans of Foreign War post in California. Wow. We've been in existence for over 80 years. We also have the distinction of having the oldest living member of VFW in California, Fred Landucci, who turned 101 on Sunday. Wow. And they had a birthday party for him, which I was invited to attend. So, double distinction. All-American, second oldest post in the state, and the oldest member in the state that's still alive. And we thank you, gentlemen, for having us.
Thanks, Bill. What a pleasure, huh, to have this group here. 6B.
6B, Board of Supervisors Department, District 1. Presentation of a proclamation recognizing Judy Schaumbach for her years of dedication and commitment to the Madera High School girls softball team and for receiving the 2016 Cal High Sports State Coach of the Year. Whereas the Madera County Board of Supervisors recognizes the dedication and commitment of Judy Schaumbach as Cal High Sports State Coach of the Year And whereas Judy's teams have won 2 straight CIF Central Section championships, and she's approaching 600 all-time wins since 1989. And whereas she is the first from her section to earn this honor since 1981, and whereas Judy began her coaching career at Madera High School in 1989 and has been coaching teams for 3 decades. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby recognize Judy Schalbach for her dedication and commitment to the Madera High School's girls softball team and for her ongoing coaching and mentoring for the past 3 decades.
Yep. Brett? When I saw this, it brought a lot of pride to me to see that coming from Madera. And, Judy was there while I was at school. Probably told me to walk or not act up at school a couple times. But the amount of people, and a lot of my friends played for her, and you've never heard any of she asked a lot of her players, and to have this kind of success and be that requiring so much of your players, you can tell that there's so much respect for her, as you can see by the players that have come here from past teams and present teams. She's just a great. She does so much for the community and keeping kids in a good, positive place in sports. She's approaching 600 all-time wins right now, and I have. The ball, as the mayor, I got to throw out the pitch to celebrate her 500th win. And earlier in that week, I had torn my rotator cuff, and so I was so worried I wasn't going to get this ball over the plate. And so I threw it, and it was kind of sidearm like that. It got over the plate, but immediately I heard pop in my shoulder. And she's put in a lot more blood, sweat, and tears than me throwing out my shoulder one time.
You sure it was your shoulder? Or the girls just out?
It was no. They could. Let's just put it out here right. No.
Really happened.
Even with a healthy shoulder, every single one of them could throw that ball a lot faster than I can. And it's because of the mechanics and good coaching that they have available here. To be able to accomplish this is a huge thing for Madera Sports and for Judy, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognized her for everything that she's done. She deserves recognition, even though she's the one that doesn't really want to be out there and take it. She deserves it, and we should give it to her. So thank you, Judy, for all you've done for everyone that you've coached and for everyone that you didn't coach. But you've led by example, and we've all seen it. So congratulations and thank you. Now, we'll come up and take a picture, and we'll ask Judy to say a couple things.
You got your
certificate? We've got the right here. Which one of the was any? Oh, it's okay. It's not going to shock you. Which one of the girls went past third base to win the Valley Championship last year? Did anyone see that play on TV? Just went right past and still scored, and it was amazing.
I would like to thank the board for recognizing this fantastic group of young women and all my accomplishments over the years. It's because I had great athletes and great assistant coaches, so it's not just me, it's the entire years of service. Thank you.
Yeah, but you put them together, so that's what counts. Got to have a leader to put them together, right?
Sorry, I have to go back to school now.
Anybody have any public comments on the last two? Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the hearing real quick. Let's go to number 7.
7A, Public Works Department Maintenance and Operations. Hearing to consider testimony on the grant request for Federal Transit Administration, Section 5311, funding in the amount of $609,927 to purchase one MCC bus, one escort program van, bus stop improvements, and an alarm system and surveillance cameras for the Road Yard Transit Administration Office and Bus Barn. I also need to note that as part of this agenda item, there's discussion and consideration to approve a resolution authorizing submittal of an application for FTA Section 5311 funds for public transportation capital projects.
Lenny.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Khayat, Public Works Director. With me here, Mr. Norm Allender, Chief of Development Services, and Ms. Ellen Moy, our Transit Planner. The item we have here is, by conducting this public hearing, the county can submit to Caltrans a $609,927 FTA Section 5311 capital grant application for 5 capital projects that are on our county programs of projects. And the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, FTIP, prepared by the NCTC and approved by Caltrans. We are all here to answer any of your questions.
Any questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move we approve item 7A.
Second. First from Tom, second from Brett. Call for the vote. Thank you.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, go back to regular session. 6C.
6C, discussion of County Administration Department Black Hawk Ranch Recreational Project. 1, discussion of findings from archaeological study of Black Hawk Ranch performed by Applied Earthworks, Inc. 2, discussion and consideration of approval of project agreement number G1503-69-P01 of the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation Off-Highway Vehicle Program for grant funding in the amount of $60,268 and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement. 3, discussion and consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 16-124 in the amount of $21,147. Transfer from development impact fees, parks appropriations for contingency to operating transfer out of capital project. 4 votes required. 4, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 16-125 in the amount of $81,415 derived from $60,268 in state grant funds and $21,147 in development impact fees, parks funds, to be appropriated to the Park, Recreation, and Open Space Project, professional and specialized. 4 votes required.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Hader, Madera County Grants and Special Projects Manager.
Hold the microphone closer.
In regard to item 1, I'd like to inform your board that the archaeological report has been completed, and we will be discussing it with affected parties in the very near future. In regard to items 2, 3, and 4, the OHV grant will be used to pay for the survey of the boundaries of the entire property and recording of an official map, plot preliminary constraints boundaries, and prepare a topographic map, which should take about 30 to 45 days. The biological study, phase 1, would be conducted, which is the bird, bat, and plant surveys. This would take approximately 4 months. Bats are not a listed species yet. We think it's prudent at this point in time that we study them to see who's there, what they are, and if they are potentially endangered in the near future. The biological plant survey is obviously a seasonal thing. Hopefully we get some rain soon. It is anticipated that anything that we find is going to be out in the rock outcrops on the mountain. There doesn't appear to be anything on the floor. There is a potential for some small wetlands, which would probably have to be protected, but we have to find them first. Any questions from your board?
Questions from the board? Yeah. The $21,000 from development impact fees. Again, I thought this was going to be fully grant funded.
No, there's a 26% match.
So this is just a match for the grant funds.
Right.
And that's on the 60,000. Okay. And again, so number 1 says a discussion of the findings from archaeological study. You said it's going to be discussed with the impacted parties.
Yes.
Why aren't we discussing it here? If you can.
There is a provision in state and federal law that the findings are confidential to the Native American tribes, and therefore we're not allowed to divulge any results or findings.
So we can't?
No.
When will that ever be?
No.
And that's federal?
And state.
And state,
yeah.
Anything more from the board?
What is that? What is that federal or state law? Where would we find that?
Counsel?
Chairman and members of the board, under state law, Government Code Section 6254.10, and that's the Public Records Act. So it's Government Code 6254.10. Most documents that are withheld and maintained by public agencies, including the county, are open to the public. There are certain exceptions where you can withhold certain documents. The state Public Records Act allows for withholding of the disclosure of records that relate to archaeological site information and reports maintained by a local agency, including records that the agency obtains through the consultation process between the California Native American tribe and the state or local agency. So archaeological site information, the county is able to withhold those documents.
Able to or must?
The state law gives you the ability to withhold it. Federal law, there are 2 laws. Would you like me to read those? Okay. One is the Freedom of Information Act. That's the federal counter law to the Public Records Act, which is California law. It's under the NHPA, this is all acronyms, PL 102-574. And what that is it says that you can withhold this information from disclosure, and that is actually a shall withhold from disclosure after consultation with the Secretary of the federal agency receiving grant assistance. And so we were in discussion yesterday of whether that has been triggered or not. But there's also another law called the Archaeological Resources Protection Act. And under Section PL 96-95, there is a section that says information concerning the nature and location of any archaeological resources for which the excavation or removal requires a permit or other permission under the Act is protected. And I think the concern under these laws is to protect those sites from individuals going onto the property and disturbing archaeological sites.
Right. So that's where the protection comes from. This has obviously gotten really big, and I want to make sure that everything is transparent and with this. And I'm going to look at this Archaeological Resources Protection Act. And David?
Yeah, I agree with my colleague. It's important that we keep open. And is it okay that we talk about who was there?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and do that.
On Friday, September 16th, we walked the site with representatives from the Chukchansi and from the Mono tribe, along with the archaeologist, to review the archaeological findings and to review if we caught everything, which we did not. It was actually expanded beyond the sites that we had. And it is very localized in specific areas. I'm hedging how much I
That's
can
all
say.
right. The people that attended what is their pertinence to the site? And
they were the two tribes that have historically been on the site.
Okay. Were there any representatives that were excluded from being allowed to attend that?
No.
Okay. So everyone that could
have attended
was invited, and those two tribes that are most affected did show.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's worth noting, and I don't think Bill mentioned this, but knowing that we did have the ability to either share this information or not, we had intended to for full transparency, and we had a request from an individual that represents 4 tribes request that we do not share this information. So just for the record.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else from the board? Public?
Mary Matola, 44609 Road 420. And I'm here about what you gentlemen have just been discussing. And there still is sensitive information on your website. And I know that the Native American Heritage Commission had contacted you yesterday and asked you to take the information off your website, and you have not done it. And we're concerned about the confidentiality, the integrity of the sites, because once there's a lot of people who don't have respect for these sites and will go out there and loot them. And it's happened at the Willow Creek fire when they found remains, for people had just taken remains and threw them in the bushes. And I'm sure there's remains out on this site. And it's not just an archaeological site, it is a traditional cultural property and a huge cultural resource landscape that goes all the way through O'Neill's Bible story and the whole area. And you cannot put boundaries on these sites.
Thank you.
It's off the website, right?
When I checked it yesterday, I did not see it on the website. We took it down as soon as we were alerted by Mr. Hayter. So as far as being contacted, I'm not aware of being contacted by Ms. Latoya.
There was a request.
When was the last time, I'm sorry, when was the last time you saw it?
It was on there this morning.
We
You
need
were
to
told
check with
or you
IT
saw it?
and make sure it's been removed.
You saw it. There was a request to pull page 22 off of the agenda. However, and we'd already issued the revised agenda had been published, so it was a little too late. I didn't receive that until late yesterday afternoon. Is it off now?
Okay, let's go ahead.
Dale Drosen, Madero. Several questions and comments. One, the sites. Very few people are going to be pushing you harder for open disclosure of things. This is one of the things, if you have the possibility to do it, keep it secret. If you tell people where it is, it will disappear. The other side of the coin, if you can't say where these sites are, how can you protect them in a four-wheel drive off-road motorcycle park area? You're going to have to enclose them some way, and that'll disclose the location of it. I don't understand how the two can coexist. The funding, specifically from the park mitigation money. That mitigation money was collected from everybody that built a house in Madera County. They have to pay into the Parks Mitigation Fund. When they paid into that, they, either written or unwritten, had a promise that that was going to fund parks in their areas. It was going to give them recreation. By moving this much money out of that fund into this, you're breaking that promise. You're putting it in an area where very few of the citizens are going to be able to use it. The other thing is, please don't do this. This is a god-awful money pit that's going to be sucking on Madera County's general fund for as long as you're around and as long as the people after you are around. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Manahu, I'm Joetta Fleek. I live in Madera County as my ancestors did for over 100 generations. Many Indians are trying to protect our sacred sites and homeland. That is why we do not want an OHV park on Black Hawk Mountain and the surrounding area. In the news, the Standing Rock Sioux in North Dakota are doing the same. They want to stop the construction of an oil pipeline that would cross beneath the Little Missouri and the Missouri River twice. It will affect drinking water on the reservation and all those downstream, and will also disturb important Indian sites and have a detrimental effect on the environment. Fortunately, President Obama stepped in and stopped the construction until meetings with the tribe have been concluded. What many people don't get or realize is we are working to keep and make our earth better for all generations and the future. We now have non-Indian people that realize that in many ways we are killing off our future generations of animals, insects, plants, and even humans. To quote ancestral pride, we are protectors, not protesters. When you protect, you are upholding your sacred responsibility to your ancestors, your land, and the Creator. The Madera County Board of Supervisors should be following Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. All agencies involved should consult with Indian tribes. This consulting will determine how this historic property might be affected by the OHV Park. You are planning and voting on projects and funds that shouldn't be done until all the consultation meetings have been completed. You are not going to be able to push this through unopposed. We Indian people are not going away. Consultation with the NAGPRA Coalition and the Native American Heritage Commission has to be completed, and that is the law. An agreement has to be made. You are supposed to represent all the people of Madera County. 5 local tribes and more are against this project, and not one tribe has shown support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and one last thing. Mr. Hayter, you did not tell me the truth, and I think that's wrong. And if you want to talk about it, we can meet.
You're supposed to give that to the clerk of the board.
Good morning.
Hili, Halichunma, Hoyoshim Shikil. My name is Shauna Alexander. My residence is Madera County, Corskell. I'm here today to voice my opposition to the proposed OHV dirt bike park at Black Hawk Mountain. I do not have enough time to translate the following story, but it is relevant to the Black Hawk Mountain. Aman, Nocho, Hoyanata, Heleo Heneo. oji geo pochishnau ama koliswa dulau pachish ama adlan. Shopen nocho tanta ama yuhach. Hidya aman khata hishwaan humnula ahom aman yoketa ho'o. No pop amamen oyoto amamen mi'in ahom naash amamen bokol. Mi'in hidya yokach wahilta edmata nocho episinta. Mi'in heyematau heonem eweta aman nocho wilch in it hidam khatet hishwaan humnula. Aman neye chokot hulgenin. Sonum sai paslet amamen webenau mi'in hidyaw heleu. Weben amamen hoihin hiat mi'in aman humnulat. Heda da panosham amayo dadacham. Mi'in aman hoyenta hidyaw heleu khami adil pochishnau. Chuyu ta yet nocho ohom ta'an hidanen. Nahni ta'an ohom khate hishwan botsha nahni am chipne ohom gais jawewan. Amak banoy the menata amalich neesha hointno mi'in da ta'an widne shalelau. Amak bunchohi hointno yokin ta'an da mena ich hoyonich neesha ohom da naash hoinol. Galabi yimi amak loloto ama mi'in amak bunchohi hoyenta ochi amangin ho'o no'om amagin ta'an poyi hon baina wahilmi amak ta'an wilta kak Hidya aman ta ishta sipin. Ta ishta aman ochowo tarachi yoponosha humnulan. Hoili amingin no ama yo no pop hodonata amamig. Waati we willen tamenata amak ta wela ich adil mi'in amak ohom na ash hilnilchu. Yokach wahilta wilmi amak mayen payeyi. Amak nocho hoyen mitanta ama shopil nocho yoketa ho'o. Dosto am no omo khata na an hishwa an humnula. Dosto am no omo amingin webenau paslit sayi. Mi'in amak da menata patelich nan hoino. Mi'in da moyeni amak hoyenta lolon nan. Tada mi'in taneta am no omo am yo no popo shalelau amingin. Tada cheda hun ama. Hidya aman wahilta. Halada amana ash ohom noch on yokelau amingin darach heda shaleleu haili amachi here.
That was beautiful. See the tracks that were still there today on that rock. I was trying to read along with you. Is that the rock that is that Black Hawk Mountain? Is that what?
Could you please come to the podium and respond? Thank you.
And my reply to your question is, yes, this includes Black Hawk Mountain. Pochishnel, O'Neill's, this is the area. This includes this area of Black Hawk Mountain. It's Grace.
Thank you. Again, it was beautiful. Thank you.
X.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for having us here today in regards to discussion pertaining to this Black Hawk Mountain and how it relates to the American society. As a Native American tribe, we have the responsibility of living in two societies. One is American society, and one is our adopted of what we inherited in regards to our Constitution as being a sovereign nation within another nation. In regards to the historical documentation that our people had, it was not often done on paper or in books like the Bible did in regards to European people. Our history was written and documented on rocks in relations to the sun and the travel of the stars and these solstices. We've been through hardships and hard times since 1924 when we gained citizenships as Native Americans along with women when our grandfathers came back from World War I. And during that time, a lot of our rights were not provided for us in that meantime. So even today, there are certain questions in regards to public laws that provide the Native Americans along with civil protection. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing in the process of doing and documenting our history of California, and not only California, but that of North America, Central America, and the relationship of them two together in relationship to the stars. And this is oftentimes documented on our rocks in regards to petroglyphs and pictoglyphs. And so oftentimes these have been over 1,000 years old, and they're very vague. And so when you bring a group that was, like the gentleman said, that they brought out the 4 tribes at a certain period of time, these pictographs can only be seen when the sun and the light are reflecting off the rock at a certain period of time. So to get an accurate reading and to get an accurate report to provide it for you as leaders of your community, it really documents the relationships of the way water traveled underneath. As Mr. Wheeler stated last week at the hearing in regards to the Austin Quarry of witching and following water. Yes, that has documented here by our people for many generations in relationships to these aqueducts and how the aquifers are fed from the tops of the mountains of our Sierra Nevadas and how they drain all the way to the ocean. And a lot of this stuff, as our people have known, we've been hampered by with alcoholism in the past with our people, the issues of getting jobs and sustaining a life for our people. And so over the generations, it's been one battle after another. And as you're familiar with in the past 10 years, with our intertribal disputes, it's been a really distraction. And for us to, in regards to relationships, in regards to understandings where your board of supervisors can go and actually contact someone of the tribe, I know it has been difficult in relationships with the Picayune of our troubles of the past. But for you, I would appreciate you to consider this is a story that is oftentimes documented on these rocks and these sacred sites that are on private lands that we haven't had opportunity as a tribe to address or to document in a way. And so oftentimes windows of opportunity open like the situation we have here at Black Hawk Lodge, where it provides a consultation process for the tribes to provide their input. And so there's a certain integrity that goes back to the documentation of the beginning of our people as Chukchansi that is important not only for our children but also the American children in civilization, because we go and pay a price for history in regards to that is contrary to the beliefs of our Native Americans that could be a little bit off. And all we are trying to do is get an accurate documentation of history before we move forward. And so we really appreciate the opportunity that we had with an MOU with Madera County at one time, where it provided the tribes of Picayune to consult with in regards to upcoming projects of construction with Madera County. And we no longer have that privilege anymore because it was removed at a certain time when we were in our dispute. So we would appreciate being able to discuss and reapply that privilege into the MOU of understanding with the tribe, and once again have the privilege of consultation prior to these constructions or these projects being implemented. Because now we're short with time and we have deadlines to meet, and here you are, the decision. And I don't think it's fair for yourselves to make a decision without all the information. And so that's all we would like to do, is to be able to provide and work with you, not to restrain you in any way, because we're the same. We want to, we seek economical development for our people, the same as we have to work together within a certain area. And so we don't want to become a thorn in your side in any way. We want to work together to empower each other.
So, we don't know, but if you could state your name.
My name is H. Nicomas Coney Hernandez, and I am from Coarse Gold.
I knew it needed to be on the record.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
Nicomas, I appreciate what you said, and our hopes is that you're plugged into the process throughout.
Definitely.
That's what I want, and I know that's what our board wants. So, yeah, we're with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicomas.
Thank you.
Next.
My name is Bart Topping, 50998 Road 210 O'Neill's. I have a couple issues I'd like to address today. One of them is the meeting that was held last Friday. I believe Mr. Hader's trying to pass it off as a consultation with the Native American tribes. It was not a consultation with the Native American tribes, and I don't believe it will qualify as consultation for CEQA. The other thing is that you don't own the land yet. You haven't purchased the land yet. You haven't received the money from Federal Highway Commission to purchase the land. And that is contingent on consultation with the 4 tribes. So I don't understand why, like this gentleman said, why are you going to spend $21,000 more of taxpayer dollars? You call it a fee, but it's taxpayer dollars. A fee is a tax. Taxpayer dollars to look at a project that may not ever happen. I don't believe, well, not even going to say that. But anyhow, I just don't understand how you can keep putting that money into this project when it's not a for sure thing that you're even going to be able to purchase the property. So my suggestion would be that you table this item until you do receive that $2 million, if it happens, and then start doing your do your studies then when it's a for sure thing. Because right now you're doing all the studies for the private landowner up there. And if this doesn't go through sometime in the future, the private landowner's got all the environmental studies done for them. So at the taxpayer's expense, Madera County taxpayer's expense. I know a lot of it is some grants, but it's still taxpayer dollars. Grants are coming from taxpayer dollars. Somebody pay the tax to the government. The government doesn't generate their own money. So my suggestion is to table this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Ned McDougall from O'Neill's, California.
Speak into the mic, please.
Still can't hear you. Is it on? I don't know. There's a green light.
The green light's on, so
okay.
Maybe I'm not in the right place. Anyway, there's just a few issues I kind of want to bring up that were started last time in August when we had the last meeting, and it kind of bothered me a little bit because we had a large contingency of people in support of the off-road vehicle park, and the question asked was, how many here today are in support of the park? And then everybody raised their hands, and there was a few of us who were opposed to the park. But I thought a more pertinent question might have been, of those people, how many of them live within 15 miles of the park, or proposed park? Because I think it's easy for someone to support an issue that they don't have to live with. That's one point. Another issue that I thought I'd bring up today would be, and I don't know, I think Tom can probably answer this question. A long time ago, probably in the 80s, there was an off-road vehicle park in, Tiford had it over at Mountain High. I called it Mountain High. And I don't know why why it went away, but it did. And perhaps you can answer that, Tom?
Yeah, Tiford's grandkids, great-grandkids on down the line had it. And there was two things. I think that they didn't have the money to run it right. When they did do it, they had big crowds and lots of bikes. And then there was a couple of neighbors like Bob King and them that were against it. And I'm not sure what happened. If it went through the supervisors, I don't remember. All I know is that I don't think they had the money to run it like they wanted to run it. So,
all right. Well, I guess my ultimate question is: did the county have anything to do with the demise of the park, the mountain?
I can't tell you, Ned. I really can't. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
because I was just actually with Martin Wallace, and his family up. They were coming up to the cabin with my nephew the other day, and all I know is he said that they really enjoyed doing it and everything, and I could have asked him, but in fact, I'll call him tonight, and I'll call you back if you want to.
And Little Okie seems to be very successful. It's always been successful.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how what they do, but if you're going to emulate somebody, you better go talk to them.
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones I know that are successful as a private.
Yeah.
The other issue was, I thought, and this is something that you brought up in the past, Tom, is that a lot of people, and I've seen it even in the testimony of people in the hearings, is that there's some limit to how many acres you have to have before you can ride a motorcycle or ATV or something.
Right. And
why hasn't the county changed that? If that's a big enough issue, I mean, it sounds like it is to me, but even
Well,
you've
we've talked
expressed
about
that
it.
yourself.
Yeah. I wish John would have been here because he actually talked to me about it about 5 years ago about bringing back, and I just haven't done it myself. The rest of them, I don't know if they've had those complaints. I get them quite often, and it's actually I didn't bring it today, but we looked it up, my team and I, about whether it was 10 acres or 24 acres, like the gentleman said that day, and it's actually it's all the zoning that's residential, no matter what size it is, cannot ride on it in Madera County. So it's more than just the 10 or the 24 acres. It's actually got, I mean, there's a whole section, and I don't have it with me today, but we can look it up if you want to see it. But it is in there, and it should be changed. You're right.
Well, it just seems to me that if you have, especially with young kids, you don't want to send them to a off-road vehicle park with the public when you're trying to have them learn to ride an ATV or motorcycle or any of that kind of stuff. So if nothing else comes of this, I'd like to see that try and change.
Right. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
David?
Yeah, I'd like to point out that a lot of the tax dollars that were mentioned are green sticker money that are specifically collected from OHV riders for the purpose of fostering places for people to ride. So I own, personally, one quad, and I pay that green sticker money every year, and it allows, that money goes to a park fund that is specifically designated for fostering these kind of facilities. Secondly, anything you do nowadays, whether county or private, we have to go through processes, EIRs, et cetera. Everything requires processes, and there's a certain amount of risk in anything we do. So, the fact that dollars are being spent, and they're being spent for parks, this will benefit the citizens of Madera County. We have never fostered this kind of park activity, and it's something that there are a lot of people who want to do that. There are a lot of people, citizens of Madera County, who would like to be able to have a place to have this kind of activity. So, the fact that some might not like it, whenever we do anything, a project, there are those who don't want it, and there are those who do want it. So we have to weigh both sides. And the facts are that there are a number of people who want to do this. There's also the potential for this to bless our economy in some regards. The people that come in here will buy gas, they will stay in hotels, they will buy food, and it's not just a one-shot deal where they're going to come and ride and make noise and leave. That's not the whole purpose of the whole thing. So there's a number of benefits. This isn't just a whim. This is part of a thought-out idea of fostering the recreational aspects of Madera County for economic purposes, as well as providing a service through parks. So I just want to make that clear that's my whole purpose for going through this process. Thank you.
Can I address that, please? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Shall have public comment.
Okay. You keep saying that there's a demand for it, that people in the Madera County want this project. Mm-hmm. Where's your assessment assessment document that says that? That's all part of the NEPA and all part of the...
Let me answer your question. We have a study that shows that there is a demand.
What year was that?
Just recently.
Okay. I'll request a copy of it. Okay. So,
yes,
I would like to see that. But I would like to let you know that of the public comments that were given to the State Parks and Recreation when this grant was applied for, there was a public comment period. 80% of those comments came from addresses outside of Madera County. And they were comments like, oh, this is a good idea. We could have fun. California needs more trails to ride on. You know, one-liner kind of comments. They didn't have any substance at all, but 80% of them came from outside of Madera County. Thank you.
Thank you. I get a lot of people that tap me on my Facebook and talk to me personally and say that they like the idea.
Yeah.
And they're from Madera County.
Actually,
This was the group that was here, a couple of weeks ago?
What do you mean?
That group that was here a couple of weeks
Stewards
ago?
of the Sierra, they're an organization in Madera County.
It was on their Facebook to contact you and Mr. Frazier to lobby you because they felt that you flipped on this. Somebody had told them that you guys had flipped. Where are they today? Why aren't they here
we
today?
had flipped. I don't understand what you're saying.
Because you voted not to give the $21,000 before, or $26,000.
Let's get it back.
Before. Somebody felt that you flipped.
Thank you, Bart.
And they were brought in to give the $26,000, which was lobby money, basically, and to lobby you and Mr. Frazier to go along with the project. So, I don't know. IRS will probably solve that problem. Make a ruling on that.
Thank you, Bart.
Because
Thank you for your comments, Bart. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, just to comment on where 80% is outside of the area, actually, in my opinion, that would be a good thing. That means people are coming from outside the area to spend money within the area. That's an economic. That is an economic benefit. You can own hold on, my turn. When you can't grow an economy just by circulating money within it. That's just simple economics. And so that's not a terrible thing. But so I understand that each time that Blackhawk Ranch OHV Park comes on, it seems like we're approving the entire project right now, and there's going to be an OHV Park, and we're going past the CEQA. My concerns have always been I don't want to end up like Dale said, with a money pit that's going to be sitting here with the county. So before we purchase it and get those $2 million, I want to know what it looks like if it's a feasible project, because I don't want to end up having land that's an economic remnant that we've studied it and we own it, and now we say to everybody we can't get rid of it because we studied it and it shows that there is biological concerns, there's cultural concerns. I don't want to have that. So I want to study it before we take it. It's still my turn, Bart, and you can. The biggest thing for me is the Native American concerns, is what it meant to the indigenous peoples of this area. That's the biggest concern for me in all of this, without a doubt. I just want to say again, I thought the story of the boys who flew away was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it here today so that we can see that spoken history from your people, and I really, really appreciate that because it does show what it means to people, and it was very moving. That's why I want to do my due diligence now and understand what it is. If this, I've heard so many concerns about this and so many different fatal flaws that you've brought up, Bart, that your group has brought up. And so if those fatal flaws are there, we'll be able to see them and know them and say, okay, you know what, this is not a good project, and I won't move forward with it if that's the case. But to do that, we have grant money that's coming from the state, which at one point it wasn't. And to say that I flipped, it was not because of any lobbying. It was because before I didn't want to spend any money because there was no grant money coming in. The project did not look like what had been sold at that point in time. Once, when somebody else wanted to come in and pay for that study so that we can find out if there are these cultural concerns and how many of them there are, that's when I said, okay, someone else is putting their money in. We're not going to have to take money out of the
$10, Zach.
park impact fee. So, and I do want to have a question to the CAO. How much is in our development impact park fee fund?
I may have that the totals here with me. Just give me 1 minute here.
Okay.
I think that'll be clear too, that people know that those dollars can only be spent on buy-in and building. They cannot be for upkeep or anything else. And that's what that means. And so it is not designated one area. It's designated for the whole county.
And so that's my next segment is, so if there's those funds to build, what is the ongoing plan that we have to operate this park? As the county, I don't want to operate an OHV park because you know what we don't know how to do? Operate an OHV park. And I don't want to hire somebody who knows how to operate an OHV park because we're not going to be able to do it as well as the private sector. We're just not. We're not going to have the ability to go out and find and organize the crawls and the what have you. We're just not able to do that. So I want to see what does the business plan look like long term so that this doesn't become a money pit that we're just throwing money at because we thought it would be great, and because it's very hard to quantify these things because it's a very nebulous connection where, like I said, if you're bringing 80% of the people that are saying yes to it are coming in from out of town, how do you capture that and show actually that is going back into our economy. That's helping the local businesses, which I'd rather hope the local businesses than put money in the county coffers. So I want to see the business plan before we're able to move forward. I think that this money needs to be spent right now so that we know what we're getting before we get it, because I do not want to own a big piece of property that we can't do anything with. We can't sell it off. Now, one good part of owning it, though, in the public trust is that if there are these major concerns for the cultural resources, we're able to turn those back over to those that are affected or who have cultural ties to those lands. So that's where I'm at on that. There's no flipping. There was no lobbying.
Can I clarify?
I'm sure you're going to.
I'm not flipping anything.
I appreciate you bringing.
I'm glad that you're asking questions.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking questions too, Bart.
You're asking questions. And I'm not the one saying you flip. That's what was on the Facebooks of the stewards of the Sierra National Forest. But
I hadn't even seen that, so
I did.
That's why I was
I have copies.
Luckily, everything on Facebook is true.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's why you got a lot of calls all of a sudden. But one thing I want to leave you with, and you can contact Sexto Fernandez from the State Parks and Recreation. I asked for a clarification last spring on about what would happen if you get the $2 million and the project doesn't go. First off, you're going to make one citizen of Madera County a multimillionaire, which is good. More power to her. But the second thing is you're mandating, by accepting that $2 million, you're mandating to yourselves and any future boards that project will be carried out. So I believe you have enough mandates as it is that you don't need to put more mandates on yourselves. And
thank you, Bart. I've already given you several minutes.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yeah, thank you. When somebody was talking about economics of Madera County, that's the reason we have tournaments, all kinds of, you name it, sports tournaments. That's how come we have powwows. That's how come we have Loggers Jamboree, to bring people here to spend their money here. This is the same kind of deal. It's an economic decision if it all works out. Many, many people have told me that don't like to get up here and talk in front of the public. They're in favor of this. And that's from the Monos, from Sikshansi, and Table Mountain members. In fact, one of the tribes has even talked to me about bidding on, because they asked if we were going to try to run this. I said, absolutely not. We'll let some company that knows how to do this, and they were interested in do that. But none of this is going to take any effect if we don't do our due diligence before and figure out if this is even feasible. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do these studies so we're on top of it, because if it don't work out, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to vote for it. So that's what we're doing all this for. It's not to try to hide nothing from anybody or anything else. It's just some of the stuff that we cannot do out in the public. That's when you're negotiating these type of things. And it's a given deal. I mean, when people ask about why that's not on the our site with those sites, you can't do that. I mean, even the foresters, they used to go out and mark them at these on the logging sales, and then when they did it, they'd put these certain colored ribbons. Well, anybody that knew anything about it, they'd go out there and start looking for the arrowheads and digging and scraping and doing everything else. Well, they passed a law that so you can't do that. I mean, Fresno State has hundreds and hundreds of records that Tom Wheeler can't go get. A tribal member can go get those if they need to do their history on their in that particular area on something. They can do that. Tom Wheeler can't. None of us can, because they're protected sites. And this site here, if we wasn't doing this, like I don't know who one of you guys said, the owners can go do whatever they want to with that, and there's no stopping it. Absolutely not. So, what's that? Well, that might be true, but they don't own it now. These people own it, and they can do anything they want to with it. Bart, you know that.
Okay, one more. And Bill, I know that there was something that Bart had said that about that it wouldn't satisfy CEQA or NEPA for that consultation, and that was not the. That was not the intent. You weren't trying to satisfy CEQA or NEPA with that, right? That is a pre-study before we get into the actual CEQA document. Is that correct? I just wanted to
the studies
so that
are,
we're not bringing, but still the Section 106 still use.
The studies are being conducted at a level that would be considered CEQA level, but we're doing them way ahead of it. And we've had conversations with people who say, well, why don't you have the trail design first before you decide where you're going to take this property or not? I don't know where the trails are going to go until I know what the constraints are. So the constraints drive the trails. Trails don't drive constraints. And once we've known where we have to set aside areas for mitigation, the land left is what we get to develop. I also want to add on the issue of the operation. We are getting interest from concessionaires for the OHV park, for campgrounds, for all kinds of different things. So the interest is starting to pick up. People are starting to realize it's going to be there. I definitely do agree with you that the county cannot operate this, period. This has to be operated by private enterprise, but you are the beneficiaries of the revenue that comes out of that.
I was the representative for the Churchancy that went out. And at that time, I told them it was informational only. I was not there for consultation. And
it's not. It's not. That's what I was trying to make that point. That it was not consultation. I wanted to point that out. That it was. We were not trying to satisfy consultation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief. Thank you. In regards to these economical drivers for our community, I think we really should look closely in regards to preservation of our natural resources that we have. And a good example of that, I mean, not entirely politically perfect, but Yosemite National Park. And in regards to our millions of visitors that come here that are not allowed to operate off OHV or off-road vehicles, motorcycles or 4x4s. And we still continue to drive because of the education that it provides to people from the international waters, international continents that continue to come here for that reason. And I think that there's more opportunity for us to consider in regards to educational purposes here. You know, just being alone, like I said earlier, there's so much more that we have to identify and discover and document according to these areas. But once the integrity of these rock croppings, of these mountains are jeopardized, we no longer have the ability to go back in history and to rewrite them or to re-record them. See, these are very delicate. This is very delicate drawings and intricate pictographs in this area that cannot be reproduced. And I just say that just take into consideration, yes, we may be making a lot of money in the next 20 years with the OHV park compared to what we can make with us walking around and showing people and introducing people to these archaeological artifacts or sacred sites. But there's always an option there, so there's not only one road that you could go with the OHV park. There's always an option that we could utilize, if we've discovered some sensitive areas here that we already have, and to help to implement them into decisions going forward. So
we want to do that. Okay. We really do.
Agree with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Eric?
Thanks, Nicomas.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to clarify Supervisor Frazier's question about the balance in the park piece of the impact fee. We have about $65,000 in that account, and with this action today, that's another, that would take $21,000 out of that account.
Okay. Thank you.
33%. Next.
I sit here and listen both sides, and folks, we are arguing the same point. You guys want us to conduct feasible studies. We're doing the same thing over here. We talk about $21,000. That is not a lot of money as far as the county of Madera. It's a lot of money, but it's not to the point. That's our share. We're arguing the same point. These are studies to be made to find out if this project is feasible. If it is not, then we'll walk away from it. We're not there yet. So please understand that we're conducting these studies to find out if we want to do this project. Now, we have a lot of people, if it's done, the argument here, these are dollars that are going to come in from outside Madera County, which is good. Brett said this good thing. He said we can't function yet within Madera County. We have to do something outside Madera County also and bring in that kind of money to support our projects. But there again, I'll go back to the first point. We're arguing the same thing. It's studies, studies, studies. And when we finish with these studies, we'll decide whether we want to proceed or not. Do I make myself clear? Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Any other questions from the board? I'd like to make a statement, and I agree full-heartedly with Max and Brett saying. The other thing, too, is, we're talking about the stewards. I was up there with them, the U.S. Forestry, which really likes the Sierra Stewards. They go out and clean trails up every place I've read. There was over 200 riders when I was up there cleaning it. They are responsible for their area. Riders and off-the-road people have been taking their parks away for various reasons all over the state for years now. We had 33,000 acres over Kalinga. Some environmental group has argued that there's asbestos there, and I've been riding over there since I was 12 years old. Yeah, there's asbestos there, clear down 100 feet in mines and stuff like that that's not on the floor. I mean, just on and on and on, just to be able to shut that park down. 33,000 acres we had at one time. Just recently, it was before I was on the board, so about 4 years ago, up at Miami Creek. We used to have almost 5,000 acres up at Miami Creek to ride, and that's where the stewards basically protect that land now. And that's what they were cleaning up the other day because the forester asked them to. They go up and cut the logs out of the trails and clean up the trails and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for Mr. Wheeler and some other people, I think we're down to, 1,500 or 500 acres, something like that.
I think it's 1,200.
Yeah, and these green stickers and the red stickers and all that stuff is basically for people all over California to have a place to recreate and do their sport. And the due diligence, that's what that means, due diligent, period. That we do all that, and I agree with what Brett was saying about we're not going to spend that $2 million until we know that everything's okay. And I want you to, and I appreciate the gentleman from Chansey talking about working together. That's what we need to do on this, and I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you. I'll bring it back to the board.
I move we approve items 6C, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do I have a second?
You have a second.
First by Tom, second by Max.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. And thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. And thank you especially. And we will work together with you. Okay. Let's go to pending legislation. I don't think we have any.
Nope.
You have any? Nope. Okay. Supervisor staff report.
Max and I were in the Heritage Day Parade in Oakhurst, had lots of people, had over 40 entrants in it this year, so it was fun. Had a great time.
Yeah. Max?
Like Calvin said, we were in the parade, and you just kind of enjoy going through that parade because people are so friendly, and the kids really appreciate we were tossing candy, and you can see the smile on their faces, and it's really fun. I go every year, have been going up for probably about 8 years, so I really appreciate that and like it.
David?
It's into the Regional Health Authority, and the pace of people signing up for managed care has slowed a bit, but there are over 300,000 people who are signed on to managed care for our region. That's Kings, Fresno, and Madera. I will be attending RCRC next week, and that'll be at their annual meeting. Huh? Yeah, we will. Thank you.
I just wanted to say we are going to have a press conference this Thursday to formally launch our heavy maintenance facility task force, where we're really going to start putting the full court press to bring the heavy maintenance facility to Madera County. I think we're going to be successful. I know we will be. If nothing else, we've already been successful in everything that we've done in it and elevated Madera County thanks to Supervisor Rodriguez's hard work and Letty and Melissa, and we've created pretty good relationships with a lot of the other agencies within Madera County to our ends, and we'll continue that and look forward to the press release.
Thank you.
Well said, Brad.
Yep. Could you put that picture up that we have for my report? This was the revealing. I just wanted to see that you guys, basically approved, and since we're all going in all directions, but the grabbers did an absolutely outstanding job. I want to thank Joe and the maintenance crew. The Cramper, yeah. The what? No, I said Cramper. Sorry about that. We actually, Clay Garrison sent a full bird colonel. And, in fact, the new commander of the Air National Guard, this is the group here, Johnny Teixeira was there, but just a beautiful momentum. What was very interesting, the daughter of the co-pilot was there. She flew in all from Oklahoma to come to see this. It's amazing. You talk about people, and you don't know about these people. They basically talked, and the colonel talked about every one of these people. But her father flew in World War II, Korean War, did some the first Afghan Desert Storm, retired, and basically at the end of the retirement, basically broke down because he was not killed in that incident. Mm-hmm. And it really got to him at the end. And in fact, she had a lot of issues with him. But it's amazing how veterans hold on to stuff that they feel that, because I didn't go down with the ship or I didn't go down with the crew. And the bad part about it is the B-52 was made so they actually had injector seats for the co-pilot and the pilot, but no one else had any way to get out except jump out the side of the door. So it was really interesting. I really appreciate, and then Raymond Granite chipped in the granite piece. I just wrote him a letter of thanks, and it's just our memorial park is starting to look like a memorial park, and this is just another piece that please go take a look at it. It's beautiful, and
That is
are
really
part
cool,
of Madera
Rick.
history that happened in 1956. Thank you.
Yeah, I had something.
You know, I happened to be a freshman in high school when that happened, and after school, all the kids, must have been 200-300 kids, they all jumped on their cars and took off over there. While we were there, we were deputized to walk the cotton field there looking for body parts. We didn't find any, of course, but it was something else, you know, it really was something else. But I think one of the crew members jumped out, and he lived, I believe.
Two of them, the pilot and the co-pilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went out there and seen the crash, huh?
Yeah, so did I. When I was 6 years old, my dad put us in the car. We were on 12 and 23.
That's amazing.
Yeah, hung in there next. But and so did the Unties, and a lot of people showed up. Eric Kuchenbecker showed up; he was part of it. The Unties showed up; they were part of it. It was a nice ceremony, very nice ceremony. So thank you. Okay, that's it.
We did have one more.
Supervisor?
One more.
Okay.
Staff report.
Staff report.
We do. Is that ready to go there? Okay. I just wanted to follow up. Pastor Leach had come into your board, and your board passed, I believe, was a resolution supporting placing the term "In God We Trust." We've since Miranda from my office, myself, have continued to work with Pastor Leach, and we think we've come up with a really nice, clean design.
Very nice.
That I think will work well, and we're ready to give him the green light on that, unless there's any.
Can I say something about that? It says 4-inch letter to scale with 3-inch diameter logo, 3-foot diameter logo. If you look at these letters there, they're about probably almost 6 inches, and these letters look bigger than 6 inches on this. So if you put them 4 inches, they're probably going to be too small. I mean, that's just, I'm looking at the scale around on that. By what you said here.
We'll have them double check the measurement.
4-inch letters, 4-inch?
Those are 4
They
inches.
came down and took a measurement.
You think that's 6 inches tall?
Well, I tell that to my ex all the time. Hey, Brett, look at the picture, though.
Yeah,
it looks big at the picture. Okay.
No, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we want to leave it because this gray tone was something that happened a long time ago, and we want to leave that. So we've already had the artistic group, do the beautiful mosaic out here for us, and that'll do for that. So, everybody agreement with this?
Rick?
Yeah. Yes.
One thing is, if you look at this plane right here, the letters here, they will be probably right on our back. That's why it had to be
Well, there's the chair.
Yeah, you see, it's going to be. It'll be about right overhead.
We'll just lower Rick's chair.
It'll be good.
That's pretty overhead.
So if I may, Maria and I came down, and Maria had made a mock-up of In God We Trust, and we placed it where you all decided to put it, and I sat in Rick's chair because I figured I was taller than Rick. And and she stood, and we took pictures. She stood in the back of the room, and she was still able to see In God We Trust.
She saw it fine?
She saw it fine. We took pictures. I think she still has them, maybe.
Sounds good.
This is all right.
Okay.
According to what Maria and I were playing around with that day.
And I apologize for not mentioning that Rhonda was part of that
Everybody okay
team.
with that?
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman, I have one thing I'd like to say.
Yep, back to, what's that?
For reports, I'd also like to report that we do have our employees' lunch in the park this Friday, and you did approve the extended lunch hour, which of course is dependent upon the department head's decision as to how they want to do that with their employees. But I do want to encourage everyone to come. We've already sold over 300 tickets, and we do have a spirit stick competition. Behavioral health and social services will be competing against each other for that. We didn't have any sign-ups for our lip sync battle, but perhaps next year we can do that.
I would have done that.
Norm, do you have something?
We had to go. I had a meeting that morning, so hopefully if I can get back. Oh, I don't know if I'll still be able to do the lip sync battle.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe a dance battle.
Max, you going to serve?
Yeah.
Brett,
Well, we had to change our meeting with to Chancey, as a matter of fact, because we had our meeting Friday. Did she get it changed? Did Letty get it changed?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go back to close. Anybody from the public? What do you want? No, I asked Norm if he had anything. He's just sitting there relaxing, enjoying himself.
Let's go finish that.
Okay, back to closed session.